Gardens are a special place for most of us, a place of beauty, requiring a lot of hard work to keep them that way. But work in the garden is somehow so removed from one's day-to-day workplace that it is relaxing. Gardens are a place of escape throughout the year, an appreciation of the ever-changing seasons, the buds bursting through with promise in the spring, the glories of summer, the colors of the autumn harvest, and the wintertime rest under a blanket of snow. There are gardens spread over acres and gardens found in a window box. Wherever, they bring life and color to brighten ours. There are incredible gardens throughout the world, and the vastness of Canada has given gardeners space for the wild and the cultivated, and to host endless species, given our varied climates. Gardens can be found floating on ponds, soaking up sun on rooftops, and cacti flourishing in the sand. There are gardens of flowers and gardens of vegetables, gardens with trees and others with scarecrows. Mine often seem to be a blend of persistent weeds, but as long as you don't know which are which, they all bloom and entice. History records as one of the great wonders of the ancient world the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, a 7th century, before the Christian era, love offering created by King Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife Amytas, who was homesick for the beautiful vegetation of her native Medea. Certainly, there is a grand upscale from the usual dozen roses or bouquet offered by the suitor to his valentine in that gesture. Gardens have inspired musicians for generations untold. There was Merle Haggard singing, "I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known." Well, that definitely invokes memories of Sunday school classes and coloring pictures of the Garden of Eden, which always involved the snake hanging from a branch in the tree, somehow spoiling the perfection of God's garden with the harsh reality of human fallibility and evil lurking everywhere. Although when we leave Eden and move to a heavenly garden, music definitely turns stickily sentimental, as Eric Hansen's God's Garden lyrics demonstrate. God looked around his garden and saw an empty place. So he looked down upon the earth and saw her tired face. Poetry, paintings, music, all inspired by the life of gardens, memorialize them over the centuries. We've all felt their magic and returned to care for them or enjoy their beauty year after year. But the real purpose of each plant, each blade of grass, each tree of the garden is to grow and to flourish. An apt simile for our lives. To grow, flourish, and bloom, and take advantage of the beauty we have been given. Like our gardens, to flourish, we must meet not only our physical needs, but we need a purpose in life to satisfy our souls. To thrive, we need a reason to get up in the morning, to greet the sun and our family and co-workers in God's garden. We plant sunflowers or set up a beehive to help our flowers to thrive. We set the ferns and the hostas at a distance and watch them spread out more and more each year, just as we strive to grow in knowledge and spread in abilities. Just as we train the clematis to grow up the trellis and the ivy to reach for the roof, without covering the windows, we too need training to live the best life we can. Training comes in many forms, whether the mother slapping the child's hand away from the hot stove element, or the teacher endlessly replacing the pencil until it's properly held, or the scout leader demonstrating the knot tying techniques. It's all part of being shaped to the skills and the abilities we will need. Then comes high school and universities, trades and professions, jobs, and our own businesses. And each step along the way, we learn and absorb, like the roots in our garden, the knowledge that we need. But sometimes we miss a beat. What we need is lacking, or we didn't take advantage of the opportunities to learn and prosper. But just as when the leaves droop or black spots appear, or the sudden cold snap wilts everything, you swing into action, and some things can be saved. Some things will be pared back. and some will end up in the compost box to become fodder for the next year's bounty. But all is not lost, and next year's crop may be even more bountiful from lessons learned, and that's how life works best for us as well. When a garden fails, we have options. We can wring our hands and say, "Clearly I was never cut out to be a gardener. I'll get in the contractor and lay out a nice patio with twinkling lights." Or we can say, "Obviously I need to hit the library up for a few books on gardening and maybe a class or two online before it's time for spring planting." And then we wander over to the neighborhood garden center for some advice on what grows best in our area. It's the same for us. We can be overcome by failure, or we can overcome it. We do need to understand why some things work and others don't, what we do well and why other things fail, and then figure out how to emphasize success and talents and find ways to learn from our failures to do better in the days ahead. That may mean going back to school or being mentored or by starting out in a whole new field. The same thing works with God. We're the flowers or the weeds in his garden, and he cares for and tends them both with equal love. We may give up, but God never does. But if we persist in our intent on failing, we will. Just like the garden, it's up to us. We can bloom and blossom and flourish, and why not? All we need to do is get fertilizing and training and caring, and all will be well. So may it be. Amen. We all are beautiful in our diversity as we bloom in the garden of life, but it takes commitment and care and planning to ensure that beauty. It's up to you to be the best you can be and blossom vividly with all your passion. Meanwhile, I'm looking for a chance to use the New Zealand way to say, "I'm in trouble." It's, "I'm in the cactus." Neat, eh, what?